Hi, I'm Tinny from minibulldesign, and today I'm going to get into this emergency food package that I got, or emergency food bucket that I got from Walmart. And I'm going to go right down the list. The very first thing listed here is Moo Milk. Yeah, I think that morning Moo low-fat milk alternative. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to cook creamy potato soup, both. So let me get the stove going here and bring the water up to a boil, and then we'll do this. Should be fun. And for you, those of you that are wondering whether this is worth buying or not, when I get down here, we'll know. Okay, let's get started. Okay, I got the stove going, and while that water's heating up, let me open one of the packages and show you what it looks like while we're waiting. I'll move the camera in. Okay, this one I'm going to open up here is the creamy potato, and it's got a little thing here you pull. Seems to work pretty well. And and then it's Ziploc from there. Well, you know, this looks to me almost exactly like the is it Bear Creek, the one that you buy at Shop and Save? It looks oxygen packet we're going to take out. It looks almost exactly like the Bear Creek to me. It's got chunks of potato in there. We'll see if it tastes the same. I've got to have 1/3 cup, so I will scoop out 1/3 cup here and set it aside. Okay, let's look at the Moo Milk. Okay, I got the top off the Moo Milk, and this doesn't look like non-fat dried milk. It's a much finer texture. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's a much finer texture. It's even finer than sugar. It's a very fine texture. Now, how they say to do this is you're supposed to take 1/3 cup of warm water, and I put an extra 1/3 cup of water in my pot so I can scoop that out and I'll still have the right amount for the potatoes. So I'm going to take, see if that's warm, yeah? Yeah, that's warm. So I'm going to take 1/3 cup out, and we'll try to make some of this milk. Let me get set up here. Okay, that water's fairly warm, so I'm going to take my 1/3 cup right out of it. Didn't get quite 1/3 cup. I'm going to have to go. That's about right there. Maybe just a tad more. Okay, got 1/3 cup of warm water. Now I'm going to put the morning Moo Milk, whatever, in it, and stir that up. And it is dissolving. I don't know whether you can see it or not. We'll zoom in here a little bit. It dissolves in the warm water quite readily. Real good. Yeah, that worked out very well. Now I'm going to put the other 2/3 cup of water in there. Now you're supposed to chill this before you drink it. If you're in an emergency situation in the wintertime, that wouldn't be in the problem. But in the summertime, yeah, that might be a problem. But visually it looks just like milk. Let me zoom back here. And there's a lot of this, so we want to really find out, you know, if it's fit to drink or not. So I'm going to drink a little bit that's just cool. Okay, I'm going to give you an honest opinion on that. I like that. It's got a nice creamy flavor to it. Of course, it doesn't taste like milk, but for an alternative, it's way better than non-fat dried milk. That's actually quite good. I'd drink that. I would actually take that backpacking. That would be good on cereal. So that takes care of that. That's a definite win. Now the water's coming up to a boil. I've got to take my 1/3 cup over and re-scoop my potato soup because I had to take the 1/3 cup for water. Yeah, this can be complicated. So I'll go get some soup, and we'll dump it in here and start it going. Okay, we're at a boil, as you can see, and whoa, fogged up my lens. We're gonna start dumping this in and give it a stir. And we're going to let that simmer, and we're going to stir it quite often. We're going to let it simmer for 20-25 minutes until everything is nice and tender. And I got to tell you, it smells a lot like Bear Creek. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was made by Bear Creek, but you got to give it its day in court. There, now I will take the cover off every few minutes and stir that. I want to show you my cooking setup. I've got the new stove with some fuel in it. Whether you can see, yeah, I guess you can see it okay. It's pretty light out here. I think you can see the flame. That's a 5-jet tall mini atomic, and it's doing a real good job. She should be just starting to come back up to a simmer now because that potato soup cooled it down. That's going to be just about right for a good strong simmer, and I'm sure it will boil, stay running plenty long enough to do this 25 minutes because I put an ounce in it. So I'm going to go chill that milk, and when this is pretty much done, we'll do a taste test and look it over and see what it's like. So until then, I'll shut the camera off. I'll have it back on when it's pretty well cooked. To get my timer going. Cool beans. Okay, we're into this about 10 minutes. See what it looks like. You know, I think if we weren't trying to do this piece by piece to try each thing separate, I think I would have cooked up some white rice and either put it right in with the soup or put it on a plate and poured this over it like a gravy, because it's really thick, and I think it would lend itself well to some white rice. But for right now, we'll just keep everything separate so we can tell what's what. The new stove, I think I'm going to name it FMJ. I'm going to bring it over and show you what kind of a boil it's putting out. I'm regulating the boil by how close I put the windscreen in. Put the windscreen right in close, I'll get a real high boil, and if I leave it out and airy like it is right here, and it's a little breezy here, I'm just getting a nice slow simmer. So show you here. Yeah, that's with the windscreen out. If I tuck the windscreen in, I can get a hard boil. But that's just about right for the soup, just enough to keep it up to 212. So we're into this about 14 minutes. Probably another 10 minutes. I'll turn the camera back on and we'll give it a try. Okay, it's been 24 minutes and I'm going to let it settle a while and cool down so I don't burn my mouth. But there's a couple of things that I learned from this. One is, if I was going to do it for a main course, maybe with some rice with it and something else, I'd use 2 servings, 2/3 cup, which would probably give you pretty well fill up a 10-centimeter pot right to the rim, very close. Another thing is, it called for a cup of water. Let me just a second. Calls for 1 cup of water and 2 tablespoons, which would be 9 ounces basically. I found that when I was cooking this, I had the lid off a lot stirring it. It got too thick. I had to add probably at least another 1/4 cup. So if I was going to do this again, I'd use 2 servings in a bigger pot, probably a 12-centimeter, and I would add at least an extra 1/2 cup, maybe 3/4 cup of water. And it does need to be stirred fairly often depending on your heat source. But it looks good, and we're going to find out how it tastes in a minute. Let me bring the camera and let you look at it cooked, and then I'll bring it back and we'll taste test it. Okay, here's what it... Yipes, that's hot. Here's what it looks like. It's fairly thick, and I added water to it. If I hadn't added water to it, it would have been... I probably would have started burning on. It would have been so thick. But, no, it looks good, and the thickness is good. I still say I'd pour this over rice if it was me. But, or maybe just put some rice in with it. But like all things, the proof is in the flavor. Now, I should have wrapped this pot handle before I started. And once I get into it, I didn't want to stop and do it. So, you know, do it. Okay. That's just good. I think this is probably Bear Creek. I don't know that. It tastes a lot like Bear Creek. And Bear Creek is really good. If you take the time to cook it, it's very good. And this is real good. I give this a 10. No problem at all. It's very good. No problem with that at all. Excellent. So, tomorrow, I'll do a video on, let's see, what's next. Instant rice and vegetable beef stew. Vegetable stew blend, I guess. So, or I could do the instant rice, and the next one up is the TVP meat substitute. So I might do that, the meat substitute and white rice. Maybe even take a little pork gravy and pour down over it, instant pork gravy. So I'm Tinny from minibulldesign. Get out and hike, take a friend, enjoy the great outdoors, and more important than anything, try to have a really great day, and try to take some time out to have some fun today. Bye bye. Bon appetit.